Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today we're going to be going over some very exciting Hilda Season 2 news that was revealed at a brand new New York Comic Con panel that went on, and this involved the creator of the show, Pearson, and then some other people as well associated with the show, including the voice of Hilda as well. So it was definitely a really exciting panel to tune into. I'll be sure to leave a link down below to the video on YouTube if you want to watch the full panel, which is about 40 minutes, but I wanted to break it down because there were some specific things that relate to Season 2, because some of the pieces of information that they talk about are more fluff pieces where they just kind of talk about the experiences of like creating the show and doing some aspects like that, which are definitely interesting but don't really apply to any of the plot details for Season 2, so that's what I want to specifically cover in this video. They revealed the new intro for the season, and then we also got a clip from one of the upcoming episodes, so we're going to break down all of that information, starting with the intro. Alright, now we're going to be breaking down the brand new intro here for Hilda Season 2, and keep in mind this does use the same music from the first intro because I'm not going to be playing the intro in this video, just to avoid any potential copyright issues with that, but if you'd like to see the intro, you can go check out that panel, but we're just going to go over the screenshots that I took from it. So it basically starts off in the same sort of way that the original intro did, but then we really get into it here, and it seems like Hilda's almost going through a strange, like, ghostly stream. It almost seems like it's very difficult to tell. There's actually some similarities between it and what Twig actually goes through the clip that we see from that episode, which I will cover later on in this video, but we get through that, and then we get to see Hilda going through the same sort of transitions that she did in the first season's intro, where it kind of transitions through a bunch of different events that are going to occur throughout the season, so this is definitely really exciting. So we start off by getting to see her riding the Lindworm, which is really exciting that we're going to see that character return, and then we also get to see right in the forefront, we get to see this new character of Eric Aldrin, or Alberg, sorry. I'm still getting familiar with some of the new characters' names as well, because I don't really, like, I own the graphic novels, but I'm not, like, fully up to date with it, so I don't know all of these characters who they're adapting from the graphic novels, but he looks pretty cool there, kind of confident. He is kind of the descendant of Edmund Alberg, who is one of the original Troll Slayers and one of the most famous ones, and this character, we did get a small introduction to him on one of the tweets that they made on Twitter showing off his character, which I did make a separate video on that, so you can check that out if you want to know more information, but he's pretty interesting. It sounds like from what they're saying in the panel that he's going to kind of be the main human antagonist for this season, which is definitely really exciting, because within the first season, there were a few like minor antagonists throughout it, but I feel like now we're going to have a main one throughout the entirety of Season 2, so that's sure to be very exciting as well. So we get to see him, and then we get to see he gets a little scared from the Lindworm, and then we see Hilda transition to a forest setting where we get to see two Vikings actually fighting, and I know a synopsis where this kind of like comes from is basically from a new Hilda tie-in novel that they're releasing titled Hilda and the White Wolf, and this is basically going to focus on actually oh, what is his name? I'm blanking. Yeah, it's David, and he runs into some Vikings who are in a fierce and bloody battle apparently, so that seems to be what's taking place here. Now obviously some details could change from what's happening within the tie-in novel series, but it's still very interesting to learn about some of that info. We also get to see some of the elves near the bottom of the screen, and one of them seems to kind of look like Adeline, who was one of the elves that was revealed on their Twitter, so it'll be interesting to see if she comes in during that part of the story and how early on that's going to wind up taking place. So we get to see that they're having a really epic fight there, it seems, so really exciting stuff going on there. Then we get to see Hilda going past what seems to be a tree there, and we can see some of the trolls that we've had revealed previously kind of hiding in there, but we can only make out their eyes and the shapes of them as well, but they look pretty cool. Nothing specific to really speak about regarding them. Then we get to see some really weird creature with some of these characters I don't know of, and I couldn't even find them on like the Hilda official like fandom page, so I'm not really able to like give any sort of like information about any of them because I don't know any information about them, but basically we see this worm-like creature, I would say, kind of going right by Hilda, almost trying to consume her, I suppose, is what we can kind of take away from that. And then we get to see one of the Nessas as well, which is really exciting, also in the middle of the frame here. I'm not sure what character this is going to be, if it's going to be like Tontu, a new version of him. I'm honestly not too sure what to think of from that. Then we get to see Hilda running down some like makeshift like stairs there, and then we also get to see Twig as well, and kind of in the background of that part with the blue going on, that the bluish teal, I would say, is kind of what is represented in the clip on the episode focusing on Twig, so I'll be interested to see how that plays into it as well. We get to see a character wearing a like hat there, and I'm not really sure who they are. They have like a flower in it. Honestly, don't really know who that character is, but we also get to see the librarian as well in the bottom of the frame there. Really exciting to see her returning, and it sounds like there's going to be quite a bit going on with her, which I will go over later on with some of the locations that we had revealed for season 2, but you can kind of get a glimpse at it here, which seems to be like the Witch's Tower, which is one of the locations they revealed, and it's really exciting there. We get to see some of the characters just kind of in the background there. I'm assuming they're going to be witches of some sort or more librarians. I'm honestly not too sure. You can see books floating there, so I'm assuming they're going to be witches, and maybe the librarian's even a witch in training, potentially. That could definitely be a storyline that they lean into. Then we also get to see one of the mice as well that was in the episode where Hilda used it on David and Joanna, and I think it's really interesting to see that maybe they might return in some sort of plot during one of the episodes. Then we also get to see, I don't even know what sort of race these guys are, if they're like they're not elves. I kind of wanted to say elves at first, but I'm honestly not too sure, but they're stacking on each other, so maybe there's some sort of stacking people. I'm honestly not too sure. I'm just taking a wild guess here, but they definitely look really cool. I like all of their designs. They definitely look pretty cheeky, so I'm assuming they're going to be some sort of potential antagonist for this season. Then we get to see Frida, who seems to have been like fallen into the water here, and you can see like a catfish is what I'm calling it, just in the background there, that looks like it's about to go after her and try to eat her, so definitely a potential threat right there as well. So a pretty cool design also, I must say. Then we transition over here where we get to see one of the two-headed trolls chasing after Hilda as she runs over to her mother, and I think that's really interesting as well. That two-headed troll we did have the reveal for over on Twitter, but now we get to see it in action here, and I think it just looks really fearsome, and now we can actually see the scale of it, and it is definitely massive, so that's really exciting as well to see. It kind of bumps against the line there, the border. We get to see Hilda fall over there with her mother seeming very worried, so it seems like Hilda's going to get into some real danger here. That's one thing about season 1, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love season 1. I mean, I've probably seen it, not even exaggerating, about 10 times over. It is so fantastic, but the one thing is, I felt like it was lacking stakes. Like, Hilda does get into danger and get into trouble, but it feels like it always resolves itself fairly easily, so I'm hoping that she's going to get into more danger in this season that isn't as easily resolved. But we basically see her fall down, and then she gets picked up by one of the white wolves, which is really exciting to see that as well. In animation, we got that reveal, also kind of tying in with that novel title as well, that it seems like we're going to go through that storyline with the white wolf and the Vikings as well, so that's definitely quite exciting. And then we end it with Hilda just standing over there. We can see the title. We can also see a blimp in the background as well, which I'm honestly not too sure if that'll play into anything, but I felt that it was worth mentioning as well. Now we get into the locations here, and the first one that we have is an old windmill here. Now, they didn't have too much to say about this. Luke Pearson just basically described that it's just meant to be like a mysterious old windmill, so I think that's definitely interesting. I'm not sure what could possibly take place here, but I feel like it's pretty cool and definitely has a nice, like, cool vibe going on with it. Definitely very mysterious. But now the location that I'm most excited about exploring is the Witch's Tower. Now, traditionally, you would think it would be kind of hard to miss like a giant witch's tower, but the interesting thing here is that it's actually flipped upside down and is an underground tower, which is really exciting. We can kind of see the layout that they drew here, and it's really interesting. We can see it outlined at the top is the library, then underneath we have the witch's tower, then it goes into the turret room, and then we can also see the void directly at the bottom. So I'm really interested to learn what that void is, if maybe it's going to connect to kind of how the NYCC kind of go around and get through all of the houses. I'll be curious about that as well, if it may tie into it. And then we can see some actual like images that seem to have been like not animated but like fully colored and everything, and it's really interesting. We get to see some characters there who I assume are working in the witch's tower or are witches themselves, so I think that's really cool as well, although they look more like maids, I would say, but who knows, that could just be a disguise if they're undercover or something of that sort. But definitely really interesting, probably the most exciting new location reveal for this season. And then we transition to now going over the clip that they showed from one of the upcoming episodes that will primarily feature the episode's perspective coming from Twig, which is definitely a really exciting angle to sort of take it from. Alright, so now we have the first screenshot here from the Twig-centric episode, and we can see Twig sort of running around somewhere that seems to kind of represent almost like a northern light sort of color scheme, and we can see like some crystals kind of also floating around, at least that's what I think they appear to be. And then we see Twig run into a sort of like source of light that kind of guides him throughout this like northern hemisphere sort of looking area, and I think that it looks very nice. We get to see Twig run into a wall as well, unfortunately, kind of looking as if he's been trapped, and then we get the reveal of that he is trapped within a cube of some sort, a cube of light basically is what I would describe it as, and I think that's really interesting. It seems like it's a dream sequence though, because then we get to see Twig wake up. Now that could be a potential vision as well of something that could wind up happening in the season or something of that sort, but I think that it's really interesting. But we see Twig wake up, and we actually get to have a look at Hilda's bedroom here, which I think looks really great. So awesome to see that once again. I mean, I've just watched Hilda season 1 so much. I'm so excited for new content as well, and I'm sure you could pick apart everything on her shelf because there's quite a bit going on. You can see a picture that she seems to have drawn of her, Frida, and David, which is really nice. So it just shows that she's really adapting to life in Trollberg, and she's doing really well there. And that's kind of what Luke Pearson talked about, is basically that Hilda has now adapted so much into her new life in Trollberg that it almost seems like Twig has kind of been left behind a little bit from that, because obviously he can't participate in all of the activities that Hilda is taking part in. So it's definitely really interesting to kind of go from this angle and have an episode from Twig's perspective. We get to see him try to lay down with Hilda, but then get thrown off of the bed as well, just kind of showing that disconnect kind of growing in their relationship, I suppose, even though of course it doesn't seem like Hilda actually meant for that to happen. But then we get to see Twig sort of wander around the house, come up to a window where it kind of appears to look like what was happening in his dreams. So it's really interesting if this is something that's actually happening in the real world. And we get to see Twig open up this window and escape basically from the house. So it seems like Twig's going to go on his own adventure, and I'm interested if that's going to wind up putting Hilda on an adventure of her own as well, trying to search for Twig also. So it's definitely bound to be a really interesting journey that she's going to go on, and Twig as well. So I like seeing him get some of the spotlight also, for sure. It's really exciting, and this whole just panel was just super fun. It was so great to get to hear the creator sort of talk about it, everybody else as well as a part of the production, also the voice actress for Hilda as well, who just does such a fantastic job. And apparently she also wrote a psalm as well that is going to be used in one of the ending sequences for one of the episodes, so that's really exciting as well. Very talented there for sure, and it's just super, like, I'm just super hyped for this season. I think it seems like it's going to be a really strong one for sure, with a lot going on, so it's definitely going to be really exciting to see. So that's going to basically conclude this video. I don't want to go on for too long here. There isn't too much more information to cover. I'm sure we're going to get like a full-on trailer eventually. At some point, the season is going to be airing on Netflix in December of 2020, so that's super exciting that there don't seem to be any delays surrounding that, so I am super excited to see this new season. I'm going to also try to do my best to do reactions and reviews for each and every episode from this new season. So if you want to stay tuned for all of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate the support, and also if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. I really do appreciate that. I try to cover all of the Hilda news that comes just into the world, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel for all of that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.